Right.
Is this the
Exactly.
greatest
Right.
economic theory of all time? Why are we not doing it right now, Donald?
Well, and it makes me
Right.
wonder, what's the policy here? Is the policy here to do tariffs, or is the policy to get the market to freak out and then bounce back and give him that sense of affirmation or something? It's
There's no
kind of twisted.
policy.
I mean,
The
there's no
idea that there's a
There's no
policy.
problem.
policy,
Yeah,
right? He
yeah,
wanted to do tariffs because he doesn't understand how they work. Everyone said, don't do it. It's going to crash the market. He
yeah,
said no. You had Lutnick out there being like, maybe you won't do it. Maybe you will do it because he was watching the market move.
yeah,
Then the market cratered for 2 days in a row. And since
yeah,
Trump lives and dies by the Dow, he said, all right, perhaps we won't do these totally stupid idea for another month.
yeah.
In a month, he'll forget how badly the market reacted and he'll do it again.
Yeah. And the market tanking the last couple of days, I know for a fact from my days covering the White House, there is hardly anything in the world that will freak them out more than
Oh
the
yeah.
market going down for a few days in a row. I mean, he just
Yeah.
thinks that it's like his poll numbers. It's almost the same thing as his poll numbers. And Rick, it just makes me wonder, did the tariff thing just get unveiled on Tuesday as a way for him to have something to say at that speech before Congress? I mean, it just seems to me like of all the chest beating that he did, 2 days later you back down. I mean, isn't there? I mean, inside of MAGA world, a tiny bit of a sensation that maybe he's just not that tough of a guy as he makes himself out to be.
Not that they'll ever admit to, but I think you're right. I think there
Yeah,
is, and again, they can never admit to it, but they have slowly come to the realization that maybe the art of the deal guy is not so great at this, and that he's not really all that much of a mass. Again, it's that cognitive dissonance. On the one hand, they're like, yeah, these tariffs, we're going to be tough. We're tough. Trump can do it. He's the toughest. And then it's like, you don't understand the art of the deal, the 47 dimensional quantum chess he's playing. And then it's right back again to he's tough. And I feel bad for them on one level because they have to whipsaw back and forth all the time. And I think with the slow realization inside MAGA also is that other people get to play in this game.
yeah,
It's not like Trump gets to punch them in the face and run away. Canada goes, all right, well, we'll increase the price of fertilizer. We
yeah,
won't buy
Right.
Teslas. We won't
Right.
do this. We'll cut off American liquor in Canadian stores. How about
yeah,
that, Mitch McConnell? Are you feeling good
Right.
now?
yeah,
Right.
So the counterparty thing is something they just intellectually couldn't grapple with it, and MAGA
yeah,
is not having to like figure out. Other people get a vote when Trump
yeah.
does stupid stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
and Molly, I mean, the other night, Trump, one of his big applause lines, and it was reposted by the people at the White House and NRCC dudes and all these other folks. All it took was changing a president.
Yeah.
That was one of their lines from the other night. And yet, what we're seeing this week is that this guy is like a weather vane. He just goes which way the wind blows. How is that tough? I mean, there's not.
So so
Go
what
ahead.
I would say about the border situation is, right.
Yeah.
Look, there were there needs to be a path, right? There needs to be a path to citizenship. What we have now is like almost no path, right? They're
Right.
starving the border because so there won't be judges, so there won't be money, so there won't be, like this is actually an expensive thing.
Yeah.
And what Trump is doing, and again, this is I think the weirdest part about this legislation, this administration is they cannot legislate their way out of a paper bag, so they don't even
Right.
try.
Right.
Right? They
Right.
don't
Exactly.
even try to legislate. So, like obviously a border bill like the one Chris Murphy negotiated last year, which Trump said don't enact because it will take away my one really good issue, right?
Exactly.
Right.
That this is clearly a situation
That
where
James
money,
Langford signed on to, by the way.
right,
But
where
yeah.
money and
Noted
legislation,
liberal James Langford.
right, money
Exactly.
and legislation need to be, on the docket, and they're not because
Yeah.
these guys can't legislate to save their lives, and they don't want to. Now,
Yeah.
the question I think is, as we sort of keep going with this, you're going to keep having these conflicts with Doge and the federal government, right? Like, Doge is cutting things that Congress is supposed to cut,
Yeah.
theoretically, right? Doge is doing this sort of illegal dance where they're trimming things that aren't theirs to trim. So
Yeah.
eventually the courts are going to say, as they have been, yet.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have this constitutional crisis, and you already have a Congress that is so they're so like castrated at this point by
Yeah.
Elon Musk. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw this reporting that they were asking Elon if they could vote on things, like
Yeah.
the
Right.
Republicans in Congress. So like they have given away all their power now. So the
Yeah.
question I think is, can they even come back from that?
I know, and go ahead. I mean, Rick, I want to hear both of you and Molly. Thank you for getting us into the discussion about the speech, because to me it was sort of like one of those Cash Patel, Donald Trump in Wonderland or Fantasy World with Donald Trump, King Trump.
Right.
It was, the whole speech was like, let's go into the enchanted forest with Donald Trump as he spins a tale about the
Right.
way things are in his mind, and
Yeah.
then there's the cold hard reality of like, okay, tariffs they just not going to friggin' work, man. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Solving the border, as Molly said, is tough. And so at
Right.
the end of the day, he's left with what, which bathroom people use.
Hmm.
I kind of felt like I had a vibe off of Trump on that speech the whole night. It was
Yeah.
like the big heavy metal band from the 80s that's now playing state fairs.
Spinal
Right.
Tap. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, yeah, we were curating a smaller audience. But it felt like it was a lot of fan service, a lot of like throwing red meat to the base,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and a lot of, a little bit of own the libs in there too, because that's always an
A
evergreen.
lot of own the libs in there.
Yeah, well,
These
That's all it
Democrats
was.
Molly's
wouldn't,
actually right. It is a lot of
right,
own the
Yeah.
wouldn't
and
clap for me even if I cured cancer. But you're not
right,
curing cancer. In fact, you're
Yeah.
right. But in
cutting
fact, you're
cancer.
making
Yes,
right.
research. Yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
and
no,
yeah.
Jim, it is like welcome to my alternate reality. I'm Donald Trump, and everybody gets a unicorn in a sports car.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not the real world as it is. It's the world as as he sort of kind of vaguely imagines it should be.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk about the Democratic reaction to it, because earlier today, I mean, I still can't get over this. The House voted 224 to 198 to censure Al Green for disrupting Trump's joint address to Congress this week. He had the cane and all of that, and to me, it's like, okay, I know we've had the discussion, all of us, about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and so on.
Hmm.
But Donald Trump, I mean, Trump doesn't get censured for calling Elizabeth Warren
Or
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
And it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, I guess this is all Congress can do at this point. This is all performative bullshit.
You,
Pretty
you go,
much.
Rick.
Yeah.
I don't.
Look,
Yeah.
I just find the whole lesson Democrats should learn occasionally is shut the fuck up and form a shield wall like Republicans do.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
don't even accept the premise of their bullshit.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
you, we're out of the room. Let the
Yeah.
Republicans have a party line vote on this and it becomes nothing.
Yeah.
Some of these Democrats are like, I'm in a marginal district and I've got to be nice. No, you
It's
don't.
stupid. Yeah.
And
Don't
10
ever take
Democrats
the
voted with
predicate from
this.
these guys.
10 Democrats
Yeah.
voted with this, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just I'm going with Rick on this, that it's just stupid. And like it is that thing where they open the door to just, well, we may not be right. And this is the thing again, like this is the thing that I get mad at Democrats for all the time, right? Is they're more concerned about their message than getting their message out. They want to get it perfectly, and nobody
Yeah.
gives a fuck, right? Like,
Right.
and so they don't
Perfect's
hear
out the window.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have like, you have Jeffries saying, being like, it's Captain Chaos. It's like, no, just talk. Just
Yeah.
get the message out there. Don't worry.
And then they concentrate on the real scenario they need to bicker on. Gather around for the circus. Trump promised it wouldn't be a circus, but remember when Trump claimed he'd have all the best people? Well, it turns out the best people were just the best at creating chaos with a capital C, literally from the get-go. Trump was more focused on signing executive actions with a flourish than actually reading them. Remember that one? The one about bringing manufacturing back. Day one. Well, that was last seen heading south faster than retirees to Florida in the winter. Then there's Elon Musk, Trump's sidekick in turning government into an episode of Survivor. Musk's idea of cutting waste is like, well, using a flamethrower to trim your hedges. Effective, kind of maybe, but a disaster waiting to happen. And definitely in his latest stunt, Elon, well, he's fired half the federal workforce. They realise he's got to rehire them for the next week because they're actually doing important stuff like, I suppose, guarding our nukes, running food safety. Don't get me started on eggs. Well, not yet. Let's not forget, by the way, Trump's promise to end the Ukraine war on day one, in one day. Bad impression. Troops, the only thing he's actually ended is America's credibility. At this point, his strategy seems to be tweeting threats in all caps. Because if it's loud, in his world, it must be true, right? Yeah. The economy. Trump's got a plan for that too. It involves tariffs that make about as much sense as a fish needing a bicycle. Ask Trudeau. Under Trump, the stock market is like a drunk on the trampoline. Lots of ups and downs, and you're always one bad decision away from disaster. Marco Rubio. Well, he's been in the news too. He's quietly seething every time Trump tweets. Rubio's so frustrated, he might just switch to decaf to avoid shaking on the Senate floor or shriveling into the seat in the White House. He thought he'd be steering the ship. Turns out he's just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Well done, Marco. What a promotion for you. Not. And for the grand finale of Trump's first month, let's talk about his press conferences, rallies, whatever it is. They're less political gatherings and more like open mic nights where facts go to die. Trump's still out there, folks, tossing paper towels to problems and hoping they'll clear themselves up as Fox News and co. rush to, kiss the ring. Remember this, yeah? If you thought Trump's first term was a roller coaster, we're into, 5 weeks of the new one, strap in, because this one's shaping up to be a whole amusement park of crazy. And at this rate, who knows? Seriously, by next month, we might just miss the days when all we had to worry about was a tweet